collaborating with different institutions, be they university or research institutions, to us adds value. As we've seen today, you're coming to talk to our students about certain methodological approaches to doing research in disaster risk management or that kind of field. Benefits us a lot, because then we have other ways of thinking about our local problems.
Given that we have these global collaborations across Malmo, Lusaka, Maputo, Luanda, and Detroit, it potentially forms a learning template on how to integrate these conversations for other societies to learn from. The tendency, effectively because of global inequalities, has been a tendency to think down rather than think with.
The lectures that we're giving them are focusing on dimensions that might not get often talked about in sort of their more sort of technical applied scientific studies. So thinking about how, for example, issues of power or inequality come into play when we're talking about climate change, or at least even at a more sort of smaller scale, getting students to at least be receptive to thinking about these kinds of questions, that this matters. It's, solving or mitigating the effects of climate change is not just a technical problem, it's also a social, political, and economic one as well.
The issue is for our students to be able to relate to the past, to relate to different cultures, so to take the science into the social arena, the social side of things, to understand why people do what they do and how they take on what is passed on to them from a cultural perspective.
I was focusing on the qualitative approach to data collection and information to an audience of students more used to using the quantitative type of information. So trying to stress that there are possibilities to work together with both types, and that is, it only makes the work richer.
We are trying to give them a kind of a new experience in how to think collectively in a teamwork, how to solve climate change wicked issues in respect to their local context, in respect to understanding the local needs, the indigenous tacit knowledge that is embedded in their culture.
The facilitator said we should choose places in Malawi whereby we identify problems, we identify their climate, we identify the resources and how we can use them. After looking at everything else, the troubles, the everything else, now we had to take up the role of being a decision maker, say, now this is this, then what do we do?
The exercise is about developing a proposal for the problems that we face each and every time around our areas.
The idea of having our settlement here was that it should get away from the areas that are at risk, and at least its proximity to the river should not be near. It shouldn't be near the river. So we pushed the settlement away from the riverside.
In my case, my group, we have about four disciplines. There is me doing the GIS, and there is someone who is dealing with sustainable energy systems, someone who is doing Earth science, geology, the underground and stuff, and there is someone who is looking at disaster risk management. So we are designing this place where we're going to look into all those kind of disciplines. It has really helped me in the future that if I'm designing something, I'm trying to map something out, I have to be considering other things also around the environment. So I've gained a lot.
Injecting in the new students with new thinking, we hope that they might be able to make an impact in our national systems.
We see a lot of innovations being implemented in the country that are not paying attention to disaster effects. Because I'm a disaster risk manager, I can actually put in an idea that you're bringing this innovation, yes, but try to consider this and that so that we can have a resilient environment at the end of the day.